Hi guys, my name is Angie. Thank you for joining me today. I'm really excited to show you guys some great yoga poses. So this is going to be a great little yoga break for you, and maybe your mom does yoga with me sometimes, but maybe this is your first time ever doing yoga, so I think we're going to have a lot of fun with it. So let's talk a little bit about what yoga is. So yoga is it's stretching your body in ways that you don't usually move, so that's really good for your body to do that. You also get to practice balancing, like standing on one foot. And then the other thing that we get to do is really explore our breath. So when we breathe, we don't even notice that we're doing it. And so today we're going to take a little bit of time just to think about and notice what happens when we breathe. So we're going to start just in a really nice, easy pose position. Sometimes we call this crisscross applesauce. So we're going to start in that position today. We're going to take those hands and just put them right around our rib cage. So your ribs are these bones right here on your sides. So we're just going to take and put those right around our rib cage. And now we're just going to sit nice and tall. So reach up through the crown of your head like you have a little balloon on the top of your head. And then really ground down through your sit bones, so like your butt bones, like we're going to pretend those are glued to the floor. So let's take those hands right around the ribs. We're going to take a big breath in. We're going to take that breath in through our mouth. So go like this. And feel what happens. You get all big around here, right? Everything moves, everything shifts, it all expands like you're blowing up a balloon. And now I want you to blow that breath out. And feel everything get smaller. Let's do that one more time. Take a big breath in through your mouth. And blow up that balloon, and then exhale. Blow it all out. That's really good, you guys. Let's take those hands to the legs. And we're going to try to practice with our posture a little bit. So we're going to start in a really slouchy position. So I want everybody just to like really slouch low. And sometimes when you slouch, you know what also happens? You kind of frown. So we're going to slouch and frown. Just come all the way down. Let your whole body just slump down. Shoulders slump, body slumps, head slumps. And now we're going to take that breath in. Remember that breath that filled up our belly? We're going to take that same breath in, but this time we're going to take it in through our nose instead. So keep your mouth closed and take it in through your nose. And start to lift up. We're starting to rise. And you know what happens when we start to lift up? We smile and our eyes get bigger and maybe our eyebrows even go up. And now we're going to take those arms and just reach them all the way out and up. And as we exhale, so remember we're taking that breath in through our nose, we're paying attention to that breath. And as we exhale, we're going to go back to that slouchy, slumpy, frowny position, right? Let's do that again. We're really going to take that big breath in, start to rise up, start to lift up, start to reach those arms up. And as we exhale, we're going to come back to that slouchy position. We're going to do this one more time, and this time when we come up, we're not going to come back. We're not going to be slouchy and grouchy and frowny anymore. Let's take that inhale. Come into that rising up position. We're going to reach through those fingertips. This time we're just going to take those hands down and put them right onto our knees. And now we're nice and tall. So we're going to do this move I like to think of as like scooping ice cream. So we're going to pretend our shoulder, this shoulder right here is like an ice cream cone, and we're just going to dip it into the ice cream. Just take a little stretch like this. Dip that shoulder into that ice cream and then come back. And we're going to do the other one now. So dip and come back. And you know what? I don't think one single scoop of ice cream is nearly enough, so we're going to do it again. Take that second scoop of ice cream, just dip and come back. And let's do that on the other side too. Just dip and come back. That was really good, you guys. Let's go ahead and move over onto our hands and knees this time. So a lot of our yoga poses are named after objects or animals or sometimes things that we find in nature. And so we get to kind of pretend to be all of those different objects and animals and things that we find in nature today. That's what we're going to do when we're doing our poses. So we're going to start off just putting our table legs down. So we're going to move into what's called a tabletop position. So what we want to do when we do this, we're first going to take our hand and just squeeze all your fingers together, and then we're just going to open them up. See how wide you can spread your fingers? Let's do that on the other side too. We're going to close those fingers up, and then we're just going to open them as wide as we can. We're going to keep those fingers open, and we're going to plant our table legs right here on our mat or on the floor. If you don't have a mat, that's okay. We're at home. We don't always need a mat. We can use the carpet or the floor, but we're spreading our table legs nice and wide so we have that really firm foundation so our table doesn't tip over. So we want our backs to be nice and flat like a tabletop, so if somebody put a glass on there, it wouldn't fall over. So sometimes it's good to find those positions by doing something that we wouldn't normally want to do. So let's take a moment just to tip our table. We're just going to tip our table back. Just tip it back. We can see that that glass would not sit on that table, right? So we come back forward. Let's tip the other way. We're just going to tip down, tipping our table, and now we're just going to press up, come right into that tabletop position. We're nice and strong here in our table. And now we're going to shift our table and turn it into a cat. It's kind of like magic how you can turn a table into a cat. So cats sometimes like to arch their backs like this. They like to get a big stretch, so that's what we're going to do too. But we're going to come back to that breath. Remember how sometimes we never notice our breath at all? We just breathe and we don't even think about it, but in yoga, we think about it a lot. So let's start by just taking a breath in through our nose, filling up that rib cage, and as we exhale that breath out, let's move into that cat stretch, that cat pose. Get that nice round back like a cat does when they stretch. Now we're going to turn our cat into a cow. So how do cows move? Cows kind of have this belly that drops down. Their head lifts up and their tail kind of comes up the back of their body. Their tailbone, this part, kind of comes up towards the sky. And let's move back into a cat pose. If you want to add a little noise here, you can meow. And you can move. You feel free to do that. Let's do a little meow. Meow. I have 5 cats, so they meow and purr a lot. And let's move into that cat pose with a little moo. Good job, you guys. Let's do one more. Take that into that cat pose. And into that cow pose. And now we're going to turn this table into a rock. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to get rid of these legs, these table legs, by sending them down. We're going to take these legs and just fold them underneath us. We're going to take our forehead and just place it right on our hands. And we're going to turn into this nice still rock. So let's go ahead and try to be as still as we can because rocks don't move, right? And again, just take those breaths in and out and just listen to those breaths. And do you remember all of those things that we just made our body become? We're going to do them all again in an order, in the same order that we just did them. So let's go ahead and start again by finding that tabletop position. Remember, spread those fingers nice and wide. Find those table legs. We're moving into that tabletop position. And let's take that breath in. And we're going to turn that table into a cat by pressing the mat away or pressing the floor away and lifting the belly and rounding the spine. And let's turn that cat into a cow. Drop your belly and lift your head. And we're going to turn that cow into a rock by getting rid of those legs and drawing everything in. Nice and still. Let's go ahead and find that table one more time. We're going to do all of those one more time. Let's take that table, create that nice strong foundation with those table legs. Let's take that breath in and turn your table into a cat. We can meow this time. Meow. And let's turn that cat into a cow. And let's turn that cow into a rock. You guys are so good at this. Nice job. Let's go ahead and come back to that tabletop position. We're going to keep those fingers spread wide, but this time we're just going to walk them just a little bit forward. So those table legs aren't really underneath us anymore. They're just a little bit forward. Now we're going to pretend that we're a dog. And dogs get to do lots of fun things, so we're going to do lots of fun things in our dog poses. So let's plant those hands right there on the mat. And we're gonna start by becoming a pouncing dog or a crouching dog. So we're gonna take our toes behind us and just tuck them. And we're gonna find something in front of us. Maybe it's a little squirrel, or maybe it's a ball, or one of our toys that we like to play with. So we're gonna lift those knees up off the floor, and we're gonna look like we're ready to pounce. And we can wag our tail if we want to, and we can kind of move back and forth and just get ready to pounce. And that's our crouching dog. Or maybe we want to be really still because we don't want that squirrel to notice us when we go to pounce on it. We're not going to hurt the squirrel. We're just going to pounce on it. Or pounce at it. It will probably run away. Let's go ahead and take that pounce. Just jump those feet forward. And then we can jump them back or even step them back and come back to that crouching position. And let's go ahead and pounce again. Just jump those feet forward. And now we're going to jump them back. Let's do one more. Just a big jump forward. And we're going to step them back. Good job, you guys. Let's go ahead and come back to that crouching position. And this time we're going to take a big stretch. So you know how sometimes dogs like to stretch their tails way up in the air? We're going to take that big stretch and lengthen our legs. And stretch that tail, and here if we want to, we can wag that tail a little bit. Just give it a little wag. Or we can walk our dog by taking our feet and just walking out one foot to the other, bending a knee, lifting a heel. We're just walking out that dog. Let's take a moment here to be kind of still and take a couple of breaths. Again, just noticing that breath, just breathing in, letting that belly fill up and breathing out, letting our balloon deflate. We're going to walk our feet forward towards our hands. We're going to come into a position where we can touch our toes. Can you guys all touch your toes? If you have a hard time, you can always bend your knees to get those hands to those toes. We're just going to touch those toes and just fold. And now we're going to loosen everything up. So we're going to loosen up those knees. We're going to let those arms fall. So it's almost like we don't have any bones. We're just becoming all boneless here. We can take our hands up and just place them around our elbows. So this is called our ragdoll pose. So it's like we're a little doll that doesn't have any bones or any life, and we're just kind of waving around, just nice and loose. I want you guys to all put your hands on your hips. And we're going to start to lift up, but I want your chin to stay tucked into your chest the whole time. And we're just going to start to roll up nice and slow, but our head is not going to come up until the very end. Now we can go ahead and lift that head. And let's place those hands down at our sides. And we're going to move into what's called a mountain pose. So mountain pose, if you think of a mountain, mountains start at the ground with a nice big base, right? And then they come up to this point at the top. And when you push, if you were to push on a mountain, that mountain would not fall over. Mountains are very strong and sturdy. So we want to become very strong and sturdy too. So we're going to start with this foundation. So we want our feet to be just a little bit wide. And we're just spreading them apart. And our hands are coming to our sides. We want to make sure we're really strong and sturdy. So our feet are planted right down into the floor. We have all that energy drawing up through our legs. We're going to squeeze through our behinds. Arms are coming down and we're squeezing those upper arms right into our sides. And our head is lifted nice and tall. And we're going to find that mountain peak. Let's take a big breath in and reach those arms out. We're going to bring them all the way up to this little peak at the top. Just bring those fingertips together. And on your exhale, when you breathe out, we're just going to come back, bring those arms back down. Let's do that again. Let's find that mountain peak with a big breath in. Fill up your mountain. Bring those fingertips together. And then as you breathe out, we're just going to bring them down. And we're going to do that one more time. Just take that breath in, reach, get those fingertips into that big peak. And then bring them back to your sides. Nice, strong. You guys are super strong mountains. Good job. You know what else I think is really strong is a warrior. Are you guys familiar with the term warrior? Warriors are like really brave soldiers or heroes that fight for good. And we're going to become a really strong warrior too. So this is the yoga warrior pose. We're going to turn and take one foot out in front of us and one foot's going to come behind us. And this foot behind us is going to stay planted into the floor and we're going to lengthen that leg. This front knee is going to bend and come out over that front ankle. And then we're going to take our hands right to our hips and we're going to move our hips so they're facing forward and our eyes are facing forward too. So we're looking right in front of us. And we're going to take those arms and we're just going to reach them up towards the ceiling and find that warrior pose. We're big, strong warriors. But maybe people don't know we're strong because we haven't really shown them all of our muscles. So let's take a breath in, fill up that belly, that big balloon, and then we're going to draw those arms down and make those big muscles. Let's show everybody how big and strong we are. Let's do that again. Inhale, we're going to reach those arms up. And then as we breathe out, we can even take that breath and just really accelerate and accent that breath so that everybody can see just how strong our big muscles are. Let's do one more. And bring them down. Nice job, you guys. I once met this warrior that could fly. So we're going to fly with our warrior. Let's take that breath in. We're going to actually draw that breath out and up, and like we're taking off the ground. So we're reaching for the sky. We're flying way up to the sky. And when we get high enough, we're going to soar by just taking our wings out and reaching them back and becoming that flying warrior. Let's again reach those arms up and just take off into the sky. Maybe we get a little bit higher this time. And then when we're ready, we're just going to soar with our wings out to the sides. Let's do one more. Reach those arms up and just draw them back, coming into that flight. And let's step those legs back together. And let's find that mountain once again. We find that base of our mountain with our feet spread a little bit wide. And we're going to reach those arms up and find that mountain peak. And then exhale, bring them back down. And let's go to the other side. Let's find that warrior on the other side. So we're stepping a foot forward, the other foot steps back. So anything we do in yoga, we always want to do it on both sides because that's what keeps us balanced and that's what keeps our bodies in the same place on both sides. We're just as strong on one side as we are on the other. Take that knee out. We're going to take those hands to that hip, draw those hips forward. Take that gaze right out in front of you. And let's reach those arms up, finding that nice strong warrior pose. And let's get ready to show everybody those big muscles. So take that big breath in, expand those ribs. And exhale, bring those muscles down, make those big muscles. Let's take another breath in. And on that exhale, we get those big muscles. One more time, guys. Good job. Boy, you guys are so strong and powerful. You're just big warriors. And let's make that warrior fly. Let's take those arms and just reach them up. Get that flight. We're taking off. We're soaring up into the clouds. And as we exhale, we just open up our wings and we just fly and soar through the air like an eagle. And let's take another breath in. We're taking off, taking that flight. And exhale, make those big airplane arms. One more time. Let's get that warrior into the air as high as we possibly can. Really reach those fingertips to the ceiling. And exhale, bring them back. Let's step this back together. Find that mountain pose again. We'll take that big inhale, reach for that mountain peak. And exhale, we come back to that mountain pose. Nice job, you guys. We're going to go ahead and come back to the floor. So do you remember that tabletop position that we started with? We're going to come back to that tabletop position. And we're going to do that first sequence again, one more time. Remember how we made those big, strong table legs? And we're going to move from our table into our cat, curling up. And then we're going to move into our cow. And then we're going to move into our rock, taking those hands underneath us. And then we're going to come back up to that table, walk those hands out, and let's tuck those toes and become that dog with our tail lifted. And let's take a little walk towards our hands. And we're going to roll up the spine. Remember, we keep that chin to the chest. Just roll all the way up. Let's take those hands up, come into our mountain pose. And this time we're going to bring the hands together and we're going to draw them right in front of our heart. So I like to think of all living things as having a heart or an energy center, even if their heart isn't like ours where it's pumping blood and stuff through our body. Like, I think every living thing has a center of energy that helps it to expand and grow and be alive. So we're going to take those hands to our heart and we're going to pretend to be a tree. And we're going to take the hands right to the heart of that tree, so that place where that tree is just going to grow from. And we're going to start by finding our roots. And we're going to find our roots on one leg. So this other leg is going to become our first branch. So we're going to bring that foot right next to the other foot. And we're going to turn that knee out so it becomes like that first branch. And we're really going to squeeze and be really strong. Remember, the roots of the tree are what keep it from falling over. So we want to make sure our roots are very strong and grounded right down into the earth. So keeping those hands at the heart because we're ready to get ready to grow. We can keep that foot right there, or if we want to, we can actually take it up a little higher and just place it on our leg. And then we're really balancing and we're really testing out those roots and seeing how strong they are. And once we're very comfortable, it's springtime, right? This is a great time to be a tree right now because trees are starting to bloom and blossom and grow again. We're just going to grow those branches up. And then we're going to spread our fingers apart like leaves. And we're going to let those leaves just start to form on that tree. We can open up those branches and become a big blossoming tree. Maybe we're growing leaves or fruit or maybe flowers. And let's take another breath. We're just going to draw those hands right back to the tree's heart. And we can release that other foot. And let's do that on the other side. We're just grounding those roots right down into the floor. This is our first branch. Just remember, trees grow from the bottom up, so that first branch might be low, and then those branches come out higher and higher. So let's take the hands right to the tree's heart. Again, this foot can lift up. We can place it on that leg, or we can keep it lower. If you even want to bring it up a little bit higher, we can bring it up even higher on that leg and get a little bit higher of a branch. This is totally up to you, whatever you're comfortable with. And as we're ready, we're just going to watch that spring tree start to grow and blossom, and those leaves start to come off those branches, and everything's full of life. And let's bring it all back to the heart. And then we can release that other foot and come back to that mountain pose. And let's reach those arms up and form that mountain peak. And then we bring them back to the sides. And then we're going to move back down into our tabletop. Let's do that sequence one more time. We're going to place those table legs right on the mat, nice and strong underneath us. Let's make that table. And let's turn that table into our cat, rounding through the back, maybe taking that little meow. And let's turn our cat into a cow. And this time maybe we can move. And let's turn that cow into a rock. And just find some stillness. We're going to come all the way back up into that table, and now we're going to come around onto our backsides, onto a seated position. And we're going to place those feet right on the floor with our knees bent, and then we're going to roll down so we're laying on our back. We're going to place that head down, and then we're going to reach our arms forward, and we're going to connect the back of our feet with our fingers. So I want you to imagine that you know somebody who's standing on one side of the river and they want to get over to the other side of the river to somebody else that they want to see. And you're going to create a bridge for them to walk across the river safely so they can see one another. So we're just going to reach those hands forward and connect the hands to the feet so we've got that nice strong foundation. And then we're going to place those feet right into the ground, and we're not going to move them. They're going to be nice and strong. And then as we're ready, we're going to lift that bridge up out of the water by lifting our back up off the mat or off the floor. We're going to lift those hips, and we're going to invite those friends to walk across the bridge so they can see one another, and our bridge is really, really, really strong. We're just going to wait a few minutes. It's a long trek. It's a big river, so we're just going to wait a few seconds here, a few breaths. We're still breathing. We can still feel that balloon expanding and deflating. And then as soon as we see everybody get across that bridge safely, we can just move back down onto the floor. And let's take our knees to our chest and just take a little rock from side to side. And now we're going to move into the part of yoga that I like the best. It's called Shavasana, and it's our final relaxation. So this pose is where we're going to take one leg and just lengthen it all the way down in front of us, and take that other leg and place it right beside that first leg. And our hands are going to come right to our sides. And we're staring up at the ceiling. And maybe our eyelids are kind of getting a little heavy. And maybe we want to just close the eyes. And we start to feel the body becoming really heavy and start to just sink down into the floor. And we want to clear our minds. And we're just going to sit here in this Shavasana pose for as long as we want. And we're just going to start to find that breath again and just breathe in and breathe out, and we can really feel the belly lifting and falling. And we're not thinking about anything else except that breath, and we're listening to it as it travels in and out of our bodies. And maybe mom or dad wants to come and just put something kind of gentle smelling on our ears, or maybe take a hand and just kind of rub it across our forehead or down our face, just really gentle little motions, things that feel really nice and they relax us. We're just going to really enjoy this pose and just start to take a few minutes just to reset, just to relax, and just to be with our breath. You guys are welcome to stay in this pose for as long as you like. And when you're finished, you can just come back up to that seated position. We can take the hands to our heart. We're just going to take a little nod to those fingertips and just say thank you. It's really nice to just be grateful. Anytime we have the opportunity to practice yoga, we're grateful for the fact that our body can move in some ways that we don't normally move it. And we're grateful for the fact that we have the opportunity just to make those connections with our breath. So just take a moment to say thank you, and as you move forward with your day, just remember to keep love and kindness in all of your thoughts and everything you say and in everything you feel. Have a wonderful day, you guys. Thank you for joining me. I hope to see you again. Namaste.